so grateful that Drew Bledsoe came on. I am so excited and honored to welcome back the incredible LaChina Robinson, who's, I believe, starting her 17th season right now as an award-winning women's basketball analyst. 17 seasons?
Hey, don't remind me. I was like 2 years old when I started covering the W. That's all I have to say. Don't start doing math, because that's when it gets scary.
The math is not mathing. Well, it's a lot of experience and a lot that you can sort of educate me on as we kick off this season. I saw really quickly your Mother's Day post yesterday with all the South Carolina swag from Coach Staley. Is Dawn showing you up on Mother's Day? What's going on here?
Yes, she is. There was nothing I could do on Mother's Day that would outlive what Dawn Staley did for my mother. I had posted one day that she needed a South Carolina T-shirt. She received a delivery, and boy, did she have T-shirts. She actually had 2 national championship rings. Kay, do you see those rings on her fingers? She has blankets. She's got more South Carolina things than she could ever need. But the day of the championship game, she had on like a Juicy Couture garnet top. It was the most appropriate fan shirt ever. So I'm just glad that now she can take a picture, post it, and feel good about her South Carolina gear. And Dawn Staley is the best. She
is goated. Juicy Couture throwback. You can't hate on it. She wins.
Yeah, hey, she does win a little bit with the juicy throwback. I was embarrassed.
Okay, so it's finally here. I feel like we've been waiting. Like, when is the WNBA season kicking off? It's tomorrow. Obviously, there was a wild preseason. You'll be on the Countdown pregame show. Let's go. Fever Sun and Mercury Aces. Those games will follow. What are your feelings going into this season with more eyes on the league maybe than ever?
Just so excited, Kay. Quite honestly, the women of this league deserve it. They deserve it now, but they also deserved it 27 years ago. Like, the WNBA is in their 28th season, and finally people are waking up. But it's for good reason. We've got tremendous storylines across the board. Absolutely the rookie class that's coming in, headlined by Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, and the eyes that they're bringing to the WNBA. We had our most watched draft ever. The women's tournament, the viewership was through the roof. We've already seen crazy attendance in the WNBA preseason game. Like, this rookie class is probably the most anticipated we've ever seen in the history of this league. Camila Cardoso, I mean, the names go on and on. But the thing I think we don't talk about enough with this rookie class is the impact of NIL. When you think about how amplified their messages and their images were in college, we're now hearing them as household names. And you have to really pinpoint some of the brand partnerships that they've been able to be a part of in NIL. Take it or leave it. Some people love it, some people don't. But for women's sports, it's really been a big thing. So we start with the rookie class. And then the Las Vegas Aces, they won back-to-back championships. Can they do it again and make it 3 in a row? The last team that did that was the Houston Comets, and that was way back in the first 4 years of the WNBA. So great storylines, free agency moves. Seattle's looking great with the addition of Nneka Ogwumike and Skylar Diggins-Smith. Phoenix has got some new faces. It just so many storylines, Kay.
Yeah, and I love that you're talking about that. The NIL point is really strong, and that has really put it over the edge and put it in front of our faces and on our feeds. And just social media has blown everything up as well, something that didn't exist 20 or so years ago. I'm seeing the Delta charter thing. That's a brand partnership I'm super stoked about, that I'm sure you are. And everything's going in a great direction. I want to ask you, speaking of brands, Asia Wilson finally gets her own Nike shoe, about damn time. She also nabbed a multi-year endorsement deal with Gatorade. Do you think brands are finally starting to recognize, or like, how much are you seeing that growth? And, you know, what would you like to see? I think I want to know, like, what's the next thing that you want to see grow? The Delta charter thing, check. We're getting marketability, check. What's the next thing that needs to move forward?
Yeah, well, what brands are finally realizing is investing in women's sports is smart business. You know, it's not like, oh, we're just going to help the women out or give them a cut. They're realizing that you can actually make money because people are interested. They're going to buy gear. They're going to turn up for viewership. They're going to sit in seats. And so from that standpoint, I think the figure is less than 5% of all sports sponsorship goes to women's sports. I'm sure the needle has been moved a little there. I want to see more, Kay. I'm not happy. Yes, we have expanded. We've got Canada coming in 2026. the Bay in 2025. That's attractive for the media rights deal that's coming up. I want that deal to be amazing. I want the WNBA to be more accessible, right? So all these things are adding up to good momentum, good business decisions. And the W's hot right now. But yeah, I would like to see women's sponsorship deals continue to go up, because right now the top level players are really benefiting. The 1 or 2 top players on every team are getting those brand deals. The top of the rookie class, but I believe that there's more there for these women. There's a new CBA coming up. I hope in that CBA there's more opportunity for the salary to move. They've already got the charter deal, so that's good for them from a holistic standpoint in this deal. But I still want to see more money into the WNBA.
Let's go.
Yeah, the media rights deal is definitely going to help, and more brands waking up and making decisions to invest in women.
It's coming. Nothing helps. I can't tell. Like, will a dynasty help the WNBA, or will it, or can it hurt it? Because I'm looking at the Aces, right? They're back-to-back champs. They're the overwhelming favorites to three-peat, right? You got Becky Hammon, you got Wilson, Plum, Gray, you got newcomers coming. But then I'm looking like the Houston Comets, I believe. They won the league's first 4 championships in a row. That was the late 90s. Is there a team that can disrupt what the Aces have going on? Who is that team, and what's better for the sport?
That's a great question. Everyone loves a dynasty, because every season you come in, can you knock off the Minnesota Lynx? They won 4, but they weren't consecutively. It was a LA Sparks that snuck in and got a championship. It was a Phoenix Mercury that snuck in and got one. It's hard to win 4 in a row. But what I would say is I'm okay with it, because number one, Vegas has raised the bar for every other team in this league. Some of the free agency moves you see happening, everyone is trying to keep up with Vegas, and not even just what they have on the court, but the investment that Mark Davis has made in this team that makes them one of the most attractive franchises to play for. I mean, in free agency, they have their own practice facility. Mark Davis has said, we want a charter. I got the money. I'll pay for it now. And so Vegas is raising the bar for other teams in the league in a number of ways, and everyone is playing catch up. But what I'll say is, I still want it to be competitive, right? Last year's final, I was disappointed. New York is on the clock because they lost in Game 4 at home, and the Aces were missing 2 of their starters. That is not the way we want to go out. We want this to be competitive, where it's 5-game series in both the semifinals and the finals. So that's what we're looking for this year. Will it be the young Indiana Fever with back-to-back #1 picks? Can they get into the playoffs and make some noise? Will this Seattle team come together in time? What does Brittany Griner and Diana Taurasi have left in the tank? Who is going to challenge Vegas?
LaChina, you tell me. Who is it?
So, New York's going to have to show me something.
Okay.
And I didn't like the way they looked in the preseason. So they may be the favorite for most. You're probably going to see them pick to finish second, but I'm not buying it. They got to get back in my good graces. I'm looking at the Seattle Storm. I know that that's a team that probably is not on most people's radar, because they do have so many new pieces coming together. And it's like, whoa, you're going to put that kind of pressure on them. But they've got Jewel Lloyd, who was the league's leading scorer last year. Skylar Diggins-Smith is back in the league with something to prove, chip on her shoulder, never won a championship. You add to that Neko Gumake and Ezzie Magbagor, that's going to be a formidable front line. And they've got Noelle Quinn, who I think is an outstanding coach. Now, do they have the depth that Vegas has? No. But defensively, I think they can be really tough. And they're just a team that's hungry and it's got great leadership.
Oh,
so
I love this.
That's a little bit of a dark horse.
No, LaChina, I am now supporting Seattle. I love everything you just said. I like it. I like an underdog fever. Yeah. That's fine. Do your thing. But you're saying they're hungry is all I needed. Well coached. They got. I like that. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna track Seattle here. I do want to ask about the Fever, just because obviously they brought in 13,000 fans to their preseason home debut. That's over 3 times more than their average for a home game last year. What is your prediction, or give me a bold prediction for Caitlin Clark? Number 1 overall pick. Are we talking rookie records? What are we talking?
Yeah. I mean, I think just by the pure nature of her game, where she's a stat sheet stuffer, any game she can walk away with the triple-double. I'm not thinking she's going to be she's going to be averaging 30 points a game. I just don't think that's going to be possible or realistic for her in her rookie season. There's going to be an adjustment, the physicality, the speed, the athleticism. We've already seen it in the preseason. But flirting with a triple-double on a nightly basis, she can do that. Whether that's 15 points a game, maybe 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 assists, that's still a very solid line for Caitlin Clark. Now, if I was going to go bold, I would say that she could absolutely challenge for the scoring record this year. If she does get her threes going, she could be one of the leading scorers in the league when it's all said and done. I don't know how efficiently that will be done, but it's not out of the question with her offensive skill set. If I'm going, hey, this could happen, she could set the scoring record for this year, lead the league, the WNBA scoring.
LaChina Robbins with some bold predictions. If you guys are feeling spicy, there it is. I do want to take a short break here, but I want to, we have our YouTube breaks. I want to ask you, let's take a break on the TV side, and we'll be right back to wrap up the show. But I do want to ask you about Candace Parker, because we gotta give it up for your girl. So Candace hanging it up after 16 seasons, like 3 championships, 2 gold medals. She's the only player to ever win MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same season. Drafted in 2008. When you started, your coverage, with what you've witnessed sort of with her, maybe just like, I would love to know from your words, like how monumental her impact was on this sport.
Okay, you can't even put it into words. I mean, what Candace Parker not only achieved, but the way she transformed the WNBA was just something that we may never see again. She's an icon, first of all, on the court in the way that she changed the way we play the game. At 6'4", she could play on the inside and post up. She could also block shots, but she could step out and shoot the 3. She was an excellent point forward in the fast break, could get the ball out with the assists. So now you have players like me at 6'4" that are trying to play on the perimeter. That wasn't the case back when I played basketball. So she gave a new vision of how that could happen, because she was not the first to do it, but she was the best to do it in the women's game, in my opinion. And then look at everything she did off the court. I mean, from being an athlete mom and raising Layla right before our eyes in an extraordinary way, like she showed women that you could do both and have that balance. She put Adidas on the map when everyone else was looking in other directions, and now she's the president of Adidas Women's Basketball. But really, there was just so much pressure, so many eyes on Candace Parker after she came out of high school as a dunking sensation. And she carried the expectations for women's basketball on her back. She grew the popularity of the game exponentially because, in addition to everything else I named, she's charismatic. She's funny. She's a great broadcaster. She has the best baby hair you have ever seen in your life. I could do a whole tutorial on it. But you can't say enough about what she accomplished and how she really helped to grow. I mean, the women's game wouldn't be where it is right now without Candace Parker. And even doing that as a Black woman was a tremendous feat. So tip of the cap to Candace.
I mean, more than a tip of a cap. That was an incredible, incredibly earnest and honest and eloquent way to say that, Candace Parker is GOATed. Like, she is, you cannot write the history of the WNBA without her.
No, she is her. She is absolutely GOATed, and what a fantastic career. LaChina,
good luck this long season ahead for you. Enjoy everything and every moment and all the momentum that's being gained. And more money, please, for the WNBA. Let's go.
We want to see the money. Show us the money, okay?
You're the absolute best. ESPN's so lucky to have you guys. Check it out, WNBA Countdown, ESPN2, 7 p.m. Eastern, right before tip-off.